Welcome back to Apollo Justice. I believe we're ready to press this new sentence that was added, so here we go. He either took a sip or he didn't, and then fell over.
Oh yes, indubitably. Just like that. Wham bam, thank you ma'am.
So Mr. Misham drank the coffee and fell over immediately. I think Brushel's telling the truth, too. Should I get him to talk about something else? His own coffee? I don't think so. I'm gonna go moment of death. About when Mr. Misham passed away.
Oh boy, what a scene that was. He puts his coffee mug down with a crash, right?
Yes, and then?
Then the cold finger of death touches his spine.
Didn't I see this already? Yeah, I can speed through it. That means I've been over it already.
Well, as you can imagine, I was pretty surprised.
Yeah, we already went over. I mean, that's a different option. I mean, it's the same thing we've already heard, so not very. Yeah, like it was a different option, you know, that I chose, so why did it lead to the same dialogue? Unless doesn't matter which one I choose and I'm just supposed to choose not important? I don't know if I've ever had to choose not important. I feel like I've pressed everything, so instead of pressing, we'll present. And this is the newest statement, so we'll do it on this one, I guess, if I can find anything. He had one sip, the next... Oh, actually, you know what? Because the coffee is not what's poisoned. Do we know if he ingested any at all, or was it like as soon as he touched the mug with his lips, it just immediately... bleh. I don't recall, but I'll go ahead and present that, because either way it wasn't in the coffee. You know what I have a problem with? A particular property of the poison used, atroquinine. Oh, Prosecutor Gavin was quite clear about the poison. A lethal dosage of 0.002 milligrams paralyzes the central nervous system. If you drank that, even you, Mr. Justice, would be reduced to a quivering pile. Even me? Oh man, if it kills Apollo Justice, it must be strong. Like, I mean, man, this guy can survive anything. Unfortunately, we weren't told everything. There was a vital omission in Prosecutor Gavin's information. An omission? Atroquinine is as virulent as he says, but death doesn't come upon ingestion, not immediately. That's because atroquinine is slow-acting. Okay, that's the thing. That's totally different than the reason I chose the cup, but it worked. That seems to always be what happens. According to one forensic scientist, I guess I just wasn't thinking of that. Oh well. It's one of the most virulent poisons, but is absorbed into the body astonishingly slowly. It takes at least 15 minutes from the time of ingestion. I knew that, I remembered that, that's just not what I was thinking at that exact time. But we did it, we got to where we needed to be. And then he would still have had time left to enjoy his last cup of joe. Look at his neck, it was all like angled weird. What's the meaning of this? If what the defense says is correct, why, that contradicts the entire testimony we've just heard. Well, Mr. Brushel, anything to say on the record?
Slow acting. S-L-O-W-A-C-T-ing. It was virulent, all right. Even then, it had already begun digging its claws into the journalist.
He's working on his scoop. He would. It's Brushel, yeah? Brushel. Let's take a trip back down memory lane.
Huh?
Did the victim really die the instant he took a sip? Think it over. This is vital.
You know what I think? I think that was a not-so-subliminal suggestion. End quote.
I admit, it does cause a problem if he died when you say he did. I would be forced to say Auf Wiedersehen to my simple case. And you would be forced to say farewell to your article.
Come again?
You can't write a story based on conjecture, can you? And as the case drags on, other reporters will pick up the scent. And you'll be forced to kiss your exclusive scoop goodbye.
Scoop? Scoop?
Did he just brush his... Yeah, he shaked his tongue on it and then on his glasses. Ugh. Get me out of here.
Look, wait a second, just 1 second!
We're waiting, out with it!
I think I just recalled a so-called important detail. A revival of recollection, end quote, a story's survival, end quote.
Attorney utterly confused, end quote. Don't humor him.
Actually, I did notice something when I visited the studio. I'd heard of poison that takes its sweet time, see?
But not what I've been saying for the last few minutes, apparently. Mr. Brushell, are you saying you noticed something that explains what happened?
You bet I am! The antidote for a poisonous contradiction. End quote, you might say.
Or I still have no idea what you're talking about, end quote, I might say.
I figured it out, but only after an in-depth interview. See, thanks to my journalism skills, I know who poisoned that coffee.
Oh, really now? I bet you're gonna say it was Vera Misham, because that makes things harder for me. As far as I can tell, the witness is standing by his testimony. That Mr. Misham died the instant after he drank. That's odd.
Of course I'm standing by my testimony!
So is he wrong? Or are we dealing with something else here? Does that mean he was maybe poisoned earlier, actually? If he was poisoned earlier and then somebody put it on the mug to make us think that it was from the coffee and make us think that Vera did it, but it was actually done like 15 minutes prior. Who knows?
My dream of exclusive rights to this story!
Ah, I suppose it was too much to hope for. What was? Of course he wouldn't choose a simple case, not him. Him? Phoenix, motherfucking right. Achtung, Herr Brushell. Report for us, if you would. What is it that you noticed? Hello? This court is a critical trial of the juris system. I'm afraid no room for doubt is permissible. You will testify to the court about what you noticed.
When I arrived at the studio, Mr. Misham was at his desk.
There were like 4 desks.
He seemed to be writing a letter, but he quickly sealed the envelope.
The red one?
I thought nothing of it at the time, of course. Now that I think about it, what if he was writing a suicide note?
No, you think he poisoned himself? With that, in that way. You think he killed himself?
Man's face inscrutable as a quadratic equation. End quote.
Suicide? Poor Mr. Misham. But that means Vera's innocent. Would someone commit suicide in the middle of an interview? There's that too. Why would you take one that's slow acting and takes 15 minutes? Then you have to sit there for 15 minutes being like, shit. Like, thinking, having time to change your mind. Why would you ever do that? You do something that happens instantly. Just get it over with. That's my advice to you. Anyway, so the letter. That's important, probably. So let's press it first, because of the red envelope.
Early reporter gets worm, end quote. That's my secret.
I'm not sure I follow.
It's the night of the interview. I arrive 15 minutes ahead of schedule.
Oh, do you now? 15 minutes.
The handle turns, the door opens, and I barge in.
Are you sure that's okay to do? I mean, isn't that unlawful entry, really?
Mr. Misham sure seemed to think so. You should have seen him. He crammed his letter into that yellow.
Oh, yellow?
I know a secret when I spot one, and that was one.
It does seem significant. Well, Mr. Justice, I wonder. It does have the ring of something important. Okay. The defense finds this testimony vital, Your Honor. Very well, please add it to the testimony then.
Hey, why not? My account comes free of charge.
Thank you. Okay. Well, I found a red one. So how do you... Is he colorblind, or is there another envelope out there? As it just so happens, there was a single letter in a desk drawer at the scene. In a red envelope.
What?
Oh, Jesus fucking Jesus. Oh my god. Okay. Prosecutor Gavin. Yes? Was a yellow envelope found at the scene of the crime? Unfortunately, no. But a forehead. It's easy to mistake the color of an envelope. Not mistake yellow for red. It's really not. That's borderline impossible. I guess, but not this envelope. You see, it was postmarked already 7 years ago. Well, Mr. Brushell?
I can explain that. Drew, right? He wanted to get that letter in an envelope pronto. Get it out of sight of my beady eyes, right? So he grabbed the nearest envelope and crammed away.
And what about the whole red and yellow envelope contradiction, chump? Well, Mr. Justice, have you anything to say to the witness's claim?
That night, the victim put a letter he had been writing in a red envelope.
I mean, it's not impossible. I have a red envelope. Or are they saying that the fact that him writing it that night was impossible? Because I assumed it was written to him. I don't remember every word of it. I guess it could go either way. But yeah, it's probably not written that night. So is there a yellow envelope somewhere that does have something that he wrote? Or is this just completely wrong? Either way, I think I'm supposed to be thinking about the fact that he didn't write it that night, so I'm going to say impossible. That's impossible. I like your expression. So full of confidence. It's simple, really. As it just so happens, the defense team investigated the contents of this envelope with the assistance of a forensic scientist. What? Note that this letter is addressed to... Okay, yeah, it was. That's what I thought. Why would he address a letter to himself? Maybe he what if he's from the future? He wrote it to his past self to change history. So not only is he a vampire, he's a future vampire. Oh my god, this case just got 10 times better. What if it was a suicide note? What if he from the future told him to kill himself so that the future him wouldn't live on and become a vampire? He was trying to prevent the turn. I've solved the case, Governor! One man trying to regain his humanity. It's a tragic tale. That should be a movie. Where somebody sends a letter in the past so that their previous self doesn't become a vampire. Somebody make that, please. I'll do it. I'm still waiting for an explanation, Mr. Brushel.
Well, that's the thing, see, after he put his letter in that envelope, Mr. Misham sat there searching his desk drawer for something.
His desk drawer?
Yes, a stamp, a so-called postage stamp, end quote.
A stamp? Whatever for? Probably to stamp it.
And then, why, yes, I think I saw him put it in his letterbox. Yes, it was a yellow envelope, and he put it in that box.
So there is a yellow envelope? Maybe?
How I wish it did. Just think if that were a suicide note, what a story. Mark? Star writes suicide note in French reporter. Falls, end quote.
As I was saying, that has nothing to do with this case. That said, now that I've made a reference to The Room, I am now going to forever associate Spark Brushel with Tommy Wiseau, and I fear what may come of it. But anyway, it makes me wonder about the contents of that red envelope. Yes? Yes? $100,000 is quite a good deal of money. So this was from 7 years ago, yeah? Ew. This guy's disgusting. I hate him.
So am I finished? Am I finished here? I was thinking of, going home to start writing.
No. Although I'd like to say yes, so can we just let him go and, get anyone else in here? Ew! I hate to state what should be pretty obvious to anyone, but when you catch the scent of a story, you make that rather unique.
Come on! Attorney has active imagination, little else.
I got plenty of active shit. Don't make fun of me. Even I noticed something and my eyes aren't what they used to be. I'm starting to understand what all this perceiving stuff is about. Thank you. Okay. Please continue with your testimony. Tell us about the scent of a story. Ugh. Anyway. I'm just not going to look at this guy anymore until I have to when we have to do the thing with the thing.
Actually, it took a bit of work to get a thumbs up on the interview. A reporter leverages a story, gets his interview, end quote. The story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago.
Does that have to do with the fucking Phoenix Wright thing that happened? That was 7 years ago, right? And then the magicians? I don't know how any of this is connected to any of it or why he was painting my life, but it's interesting.
That red envelope probably had something to do with it. Say what you will, but Drew's talent was without compare.
So you threatened to go to press with this story. That's how you got your interview. Blackmail?
Well, yes. I mean, no. It wasn't exactly black. I mean, I'm not...
You're not black? I never would have guessed. Something wrong, Mr. Brushel?
Look. This is my story. My tidbit. Journalist info is livelihood. End quote.
I see.
While you have me chatting away in here, what's going on out there?
It might be like raining or something. I don't know. Probably not much.
What if some Wally Wordsworth or Sally Scooper gets wind of my story? They could be going to press while I'm going to waste.
I hope they do. The court feels your pain, Mr. Brushel. Mr. Justice, let's pick up the pace. A certain case 7 years ago. Wait, 7 years ago. Yep. You know the one. Alright. Oh shit, the bracelet is glowy, happy, fun times. So I'm supposed to use it. Okay. Let's get to... maybe that one. No, because he does go into detail about it already. The case from 7 years ago. Okay, let's do it on... Now, I don't remember... Hold on, let me get reacquainted. Okay. I was thinking, like, you can't see, like, any kind of twitching in their just normal sprite to hint to you which one to press or something, but no, there's nothing like that. So let's do it on this one. Although, no, because he wouldn't... Because I'm looking for some kind of lie or something, so there's nothing there. Never mind. If I wanted to learn more about that case, I would just press him. I'm gonna go ahead and do that, actually. Fuck it, while I'm thinking about it. A certain case 7 years ago. Tell us, what case?
Let me state one thing, Mr. Attorney, and you can quote me on this. I can't talk about that case.
Why not?
It's about journalistic pride and staunchness and credibility and connections. Journalist reveals sources only over his dead body.
I mean, if you want that to happen, I can probably arrange it. Our chances of breaking his will aren't looking good. Okay. The red envelope. And Drew's talent was without compare. I don't know what that has to do with anything. His talent of forgery? We'll do that one, because I don't know what it means. It's completely irrelevant to the other things he was saying. I don't want to be zoomed in on this fucking guy. We can try to look at the eyes and the mouth, make sure I get a good view of both. Nothing's going on with his face. Okay, let me hear it again. Let's focus on his... what he's doing with his toothbrush. It's not even moving. God damn you! Twitch! Anything? Anything at all? Nope. Anything else with the arm? Here again, until I find it. What else is... Can't even go lower than that. His neck? The swallow? His pocket? No. Shit, dude. Whoa, 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 hey, hey, ho! I just happened to cross that. He starts sweating from his armpit. Wow, that was kinda... That was like the most random one yet. That was the most difficult one. That was... I never would have thought to look there. I was just moving the cursor around until I found something, and there we go. Luckily, the actual thing is pretty obvious once it appears. You just have no idea where to look.
Yeah, well, a man can't help his glands, you know?
It's more than that. When Mr. Misham's talent was mentioned, you suddenly began to sweat buckets.
Buckets can't come out of a human body.
You're hiding something about his talent.
What? That's ridiculous.
Evidence time. Let's show where Mr. Misham's true talent lay. In forgeries. What do I present to show such a thing? The one with the unfinishedness? Is that this one, or is that the finished one? Zoom in, please. Well, either way. Probably fine either way. And this is the original, and it's the one that was hidden, so, you know, probably trying to keep it out of sight, even though it was clearly visible. But whatever. 2 problems with this painting. The first is that I don't like it. Second is that there was another painting in the studio, which looked exactly like this one, except it was only half done. Then we have a letter discussing a payment of $100,000, which suggested a certain business operation. The business of making forgeries. Nice. He's dead. We killed him. He crushed his own skull. A lot of blood. Took a while to clean it all up. It was worth it. That is all, Your Honor.